Hey there, it's Jenny McGarvey, and I am back so I can plan another week in my memory planner with you. I have already trimmed out the inserts, which are a Heidi Swapp Storylines chapter planner insert, and I have printed my photos on my Epson PictureMate using the PicFrame app to create the collage. The images are all about 1.5 by 2 inches approximately. They are not perfectly because digital prints aren't perfectly 4 by 6, but close to. So I think it is 11 photos this week, and I'm not mad at it, honestly. I think that is a solid number. It's not too terribly many like I normally have. So this was a pretty ordinary week, so I didn't have too many extraordinary photos. So I've cut those all apart, and then I'm going to place them roughly on the day that they happened, except for I have a photo of each of my dogs, and I'm just going to place those where there's room on the page because it doesn't really matter where they went. There was nothing specific about those photos that I felt like required them being on the day that they were taken. Now I have a few days with a couple of photos on each day, and then the rest have just one photo. So it turns out pretty cool because I have a photo heavy week, but it's not crazy or overloaded with photos like I sometimes do have absolutely way too many photos. Now I'm leaving space so that I can add my decoration and then add also the activities and stuff that I like to add. So I'm just kind of making sure that there's enough space for all of that. And then I will go ahead and use my adhesive to adhere those all to the page. Now you can see the pages are already punched for my 6 by 8 album. I this has been a really fun way to do this year. Again, I'm not 100% sure I'll do it this way again next year. I miss this being on discs for some reason. I don't know why, because it really doesn't make a huge difference. And storing these 6 by 8 albums is significantly better, but I'll think about it. I don't know. So, anyway, now my photos are all down on the page, which is great. I love that. And I am going to share with you, these are some of the supplies that I have pulled out to work with this week. And I will use most of these. I won't use those Simple Stories alphas because I last minute decided to do a rainbow layout. And as you can see, those are neutrals, so I didn't need those. But I will use mostly everything else that I selected. Now these are cool. These are acetate die cuts from Pink Fresh, and they're very pretty. And since I decided to use the rainbow color palette, starting with red, ending with pink, I don't not all of them will work for where I need them, right? So I have specific spaces that I left open that I'll put the decoration. So they have to be those colors. Now this stamp set from Simon Hurley, I'll link it up in case you're interested in it. I've really ended up really enjoying this one. It makes great backgrounds. I'm sure it's super cool for a gazillion other reasons too, but I use it in my layering. So for example, I'm going to stamp this, we'll just call it a square, up in the Monday overlapping into Tuesday section with the red ink because we're starting with red. And it just makes the best background for the cluster, as you can see there. Now, also, you can note that the stamping is not perfect. A, because it's how the stamp is designed. It's designed to not be perfect. And then B, because there's photos and ever so slightly some bulk on the other side, it doesn't stamp perfectly, which is fine. I genuinely don't think it matters because I think that when the week all comes together, it looks okay anyway. All right, so then I will adhere that beautiful day die cut, and then I'm going to stamp with orange these little plus signs from the Amy Tangerine Altenew stamp set. And I think that comes together as a really fun little cluster, and it's got sort of a casual feel to it, I guess, based on the fact that it's not perfect, right? stamps are meant to be a little bit distressed, if you will. So I like how that turns out. Now I realize that my next cluster needs to be blue based, which is fun because I'm really into blue this year. And so I'm going to use a little bit of pattern paper from this Altenew pattern paper and then also from these rub-ons as well. I thought it would just be really fun to combine both pattern paper and rub-ons to create a cute cluster, especially since I didn't use these over in the first one on the left-hand side. So I'm going to cut this one in half, which is a blue color. It's got like a little bullseye type pattern and then also some splatter type design on it. And I'm going to put it a little bit away from the photo because I'm going to overlap it with both patterned paper and then one of those word rub-ons. So I wanted to allow there to be a little bit of breathing room versus it being all completely sitting flush next to the photo. Now I punched out the pattern paper using that Happy Planner punch. The size is just great for this size layout. I love it. And then I'm going to layer the punch with both the rub-on and the photo as well. And then I'm cutting out this joy because I want to put the joy with this as well. And again, we're going to have them all layer on top of each other. And in the end, the cluster is super cute. Like it doesn't feel too crowded. It just feels overlapping and I love it. I love the way that that looks. It also still has a really light and airy feel. The one on the left with the orange and the red definitely feels a little heavier, but I love how the blue one feels just lighter and like it doesn't take up as much visual space. Now we're going to do another cluster down at the bottom with the pink floral, and then I'm going to use the pink stamp. And again, it has some distressing, which is super cool. I ended up kind of messing this up. I really wasn't paying very close attention when I inked it, and then where I stamped it, I should have had it over a little bit more, but I don't honestly care that much because it's just 1 week. A small mistake like this when it's finished will look just fine. And obviously, if I cared that much, I could cover it up with some patterned paper or some washi tape or rub-ons or, any myriad of things could have taken care of that. But in the end, I don't think it's that big of a deal. So now I'm going to add the little paint splatter stamp next to it also. And you have a cute little cluster right there. And again, these are meant to just be base level clusters. Like they may grow, the rest of the page may grow. They're not meant to be like, oh yes, the page looks complete now because it's still a work in progress. And I love the paint splatters add to that overwhelming feeling of casualness because it's sort of distressed, right? So I feel like the rainbow, it just makes it feel artistic and paint splattery, and I love that feel. Now I am using a handful of labels and then my Zig Clean Color dot markers to add the plans and activities for the week. I'm not going to end up adding any actual journaling this week, so this will stand to be basically all of the journaling I have, and that's okay because this week is A, pretty ordinary, and B, leaning more heavily on decor than I ordinarily do. So I'm loving changing that up. It helps me creatively feel motivated and inspired when I do different things each week. I had also considered using different color pens to write the journaling and really staying true to the rainbow layout. However, I decided in the end to just stick with the black pen and not go too overboard because I do tend to maybe go a little bit crazy sometimes. I'm like all in. But I felt like this would be very fun. And in the end it does because I add lots of additional color and stamped images too. So now we're just still continuing on to the right hand side and the zig markers really absolutely do that bullet point thing perfectly. You can use them for other things, of course, and I definitely do also, but this is their primary purpose for me. and they get a huge workout every single week. And I love that because I absolutely love using my supplies. Like I want to use them. So if I purchase them, if I bring them into my home, I want them to get used. And I don't want to A, hoard them, or B, forget about them. So I love it. I love that the markers get a ton of use. I've been using them for, I think it's 2.5 years now. And yeah, they get used all the time. All right, so now that we have the plans finished, I want to go back in and not only add the date, so I'm going to add the actual number stickers and then days of the week stickers, because you can see on the right hand side, because I have to trim it down a little bit, those don't end up staying on the right hand side because they end up getting cut off, which is fine because I have plenty of stickers that say the day of the week and I can just add those. And I have stamps that do the exact same thing. So if I wanted to add stamps, I could do that too. However, I decided to keep it easy and just use stickers for my stash because that goes pretty quickly. Now you can see right there, voila, all finished. Now I want to go ahead and fill in some of the white space. And so I'm just going to use the cute stamps. These are the Amy Tangerine and Altea New ones. And I'm just going to fill in. So for example, on the yellow, I'm just going to use a couple of different stamps to fill in that white space on Wednesday. And again, just like the little cross hatch background stamp and then one cute little phrase. I don't want to go crazy with too many phrases. I already feel like beautiful day and joy is fine. And I'm only cleaning this stamp off because I want to use it again. And obviously I could have just stamped the excess off or whatever. This is just what's most natural to me and works the best. So you can see that cluster ended up sort of morphing from yellow to green. And I think it looks really cool. And then there's obviously still just a little bit of white space too, but leaving it because I'm not going to go crazy filling in all the white space. Just adding a little bit of extra fun. So doing that with purple, and then I will also do it with pink as well. And I think that it just ends up making the layout feel a little bit more playful and a little bit more colorful. So that is it for me this week. Thank you so very much for stopping by and watching. I do appreciate it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment box below, and I will do my very best to get back to you. Thanks so much, and make it a great day.